And I discovered that you don't have to find trouble. Trouble find you. Ain't it amazing? Amazing. Reverend Bledsoe, how trouble will drive down your street, back up in your driveway, get out its vehicle, walk right up to your house without knocking. And don't you know trouble will find you? Because trouble is everywhere. Amen? Now, while the second thing I notice about trouble is that God does his best work in the midst of trouble. God does his best work in the midst of trouble. Can I call a few biblical witnesses? Come here, Moses. Come here, Moses. You heard about Moses, and I heard about Moses, and I hear Moses say, Reverend, I had a watery grave in front of me. I had Pharaoh behind me. And God told me to stretch out. Y'all know the story. God told me to stretch out my rod, and when I stretched out my rod, he came down, and he made a freeway down my Red Sea. God does his best work in the midst of trouble. Well, come here, Hebrew boys. Come here. I hear the Hebrew boys say, Reverend, Nebuchadnezzar told us to threw us into a fiery furnace. But what Nebuchadnezzar didn't realize, Reverend, is that Jesus is a present help in the time of trouble. And he came and he showed up as a firefighter and took the flames out the fire and turned the furnace into a fellowship hall. God does some of his best work in the midst of trouble. Some of you don't believe me, so come here, Daniel. Come here, Daniel. I hear Daniel say, Reverend, they threw me into a lion's den for praying, and the king set me free. And I went right back to my quarters and got down on my knees and lit up my window and looked towards Jerusalem, and they threw me back into the lion's den. But Jesus showed up as a lion tamer and put the lions on a 24-hour fast while I was in the den. He does some of his best work. So y'all don't believe me. He does some of his best work in the midst of our trouble. Come here, woman, the woman with the issue of blood. Come on. She had trouble. Hacksaw, she had troubles, and 12 years long of troubles. And she spent all she had on her earthly doctors, and none of them could do her any good. But one day, she heard that Jesus was passing by. Somebody gonna get happy about that. Now, is there anybody here happy that Jesus passes by? She said, if I can just press my way. If I can just press my way. Now, is there anybody here that has to press their way? She said, if I just press my way through the crowd and touch the hem of his garment, I know, Addie, I know I will find healing in the hem of his garment. Jesus does some of his best work in the midst of trouble.